Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Astartes Anonymous podcast, where today we are enjoying our second Halloween special. And joining me today is none other than our guests, Zarek, Arthur, and Alex, Dutch 40k man. Had to think about your name there.
Damn, okay.
Man. I'm impressed, Aaron. I'm just impressed. I don't know what to say.
I know, I'm incredible, I know.
I thought I was on a mean streak today, goddamn.
Goddamn, yeah. And in this special, we're going to make some much-needed Warhammer 40k or 30k horror games. So without further ado, I'm your host, and these are my co-hosts.
Hi, I do videos sometimes, I guess.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm excited to be here, and I also do videos sometimes, I guess.
I'm Zarek. I have done a video, and I am riveted.
The energy in here, guys, is fantastic.
Just for the audience, just so you guys know, we just had a 40-minute discussion about monkeys before we got into this recording. And Peter, if you so could you please put on the happiest monkey himself, straightening his face as he's breaking the beans.
Little baby monkey snapping green beans.
It's just a monkey snapping green beans. I love
Making
it.
the best faces ever.
Snap the beans.
Okay. Great start. Truly spooky and horrific.
Shall we do the videos of the week
Yes,
then?
we definitely should.
Yes.
Yes, please. So I just had a small technical disaster,
Oh,
but we're all good.
we're
right.
good? Okay. Great. Shall we start with Alex's mini then?
Hell yeah. So I picked
Yes.
a very cool looking mini by Dangerous Cows. Great name, by the way. Of what he explains as an Iron Warriors possessed. He fell in love with the Iron Warriors and he found out that they don't really do Chaos Mutation, so he gave it his own unique twist. I saw this mini, I paused and just stared at it for a solid 10 minutes. It's a Talix body with Space Marine bits, painted in a really cool, like kind of comical style, and the metallic parts on it look really clean. I would love to see what you do with the base though, but that is a really nice miniature. I really like those danger stripes. I really like the metal choices you've done. He looks very matte to me, but I actually quite enjoy that with him.
No, it's very snazzy. Very
I've
inspired.
been painting Iron Warriors myself recently, and those hazard stripes are crispy. I like that actually a lot.
Yeah, it looks clean as hell. He's even highlighted the black ones as well, and
Yeah, that's the part that I was looking at. I'm like, I'm not going that far because I want to play the game at some point with a painted army, so there's that. But it looks great.
yeah, no, absolutely amazing miniature.
Yeah. Shall we on to the next one then?
You know what? I'll take the reins here. Hi, hello. I picked. Oh goodness graciousness. We got. I saw like the white scars that Bokuja posted, and the thing that caught my attention the most, the one that I liked and the one that I picked, was the Kinja that they did. I absolutely respect anybody who will paint white. I will also respect anybody who will pick and paint white scars, but also the Kinja and also any of the Keshig models, like the Keshig Terminators, are all
Yeah, the Ebon Keshik and stuff. Oh, they're so pretty.
absolutely. I always forget, like Golden Keshig are the jet bikes, Ebon Keshig are the Terminators. I always forget that. But absolutely adore the model. I think it's genuinely like a good paint scheme. A little blurry, but like I can see on the base as well that like the detail is like good with the grass tufts. I also like the gradient that they did for the power swords. I know it's not a sword, and I know it has there's a stupidly complicated name for these things. I remember it because it's a poem. But they're very interesting, and I love the way that they did this. So I do like that, and I just really like this model, and I like the way that they painted it. So
Yeah.
I love the dust effects on the feet as well. It just looks so natural.
Yeah, I'm sure you use some weathering pigments for that. It looks really clean. Also, I'm a really big fan of like the blood kind of streaming down towards the base as well. It's such a nice miniature. The very clean white armor with red panels on top with a nice glowy weapon on top of a muted base with some really fun tough choices. I love those tufts. They follow the color scheme, kind of the red of the Marine itself, but also blends in really well into the base. Nah, absolutely amazing job.
Yeah, no, it's got a lot of direction.
Yeah.
I like him.
And lastly, I've got this one that I picked out by Ed. Oh my god, I adore these goofy fucking guys.
Silly little fellas.
I love the hair. I love the hair, genuinely. And I just love that they've used those little sticks of metal just to really grimdark them. I've used that sort of technique on one squad of guardsmen, and I love how that looks on the Black Templars. It's just so good.
Yeah, the grimdark gritty paint job on these is awesome. Also, like, if you look at the guy with the blonde hair, he has like rust streaks running down his little shoulder pad. So it looks, that's brutal. I love the texture on them, and the hair is, it's a choice. I like it. It's very interesting. I have not seen that before.
It's very UK Prime Minister, yeah.
I didn't want to say it, but he looks like someone I've seen before.
Yes.
No, absolutely amazing job, sir.
No, very, very brutal looking models. But yes, very good job all around. Although I said that my fucking mic crane did commit suicide a second ago, but we're fine.
Trust me, it's
Don't worry
probably
about
not nearly as bad as when I start shouting and you just see the lightsaber of blue fun on the waveform. That's fun. It doesn't matter how low I turn it. I'm just loud. Okay, it's unfortunate.
I'm sure. But on that note, shall we hop in to the main bit of this episode?
Hell yeah.
Let's get started. And if I may, I have a PowerPoint presentation to share with the class.
Oh my
It's always
god.
something with you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, hold on.
It's always something.
The butcher's nails are biting. The tech priest wanted PowerPoint. What is this technology? Hammer tech?
All right, let me get the stream open. Oh, don't we love technology? There we go.
They're pulling their USB stick out.
Oh my god, this is
Right.
actually
Oh my
I can
god.
open the control panel here. Right. So, I believe we're going. So, I hope this is working. I swear to God, I hope this is working.
Yeah, looks good.
Here, there we go. Right, we can start. So, picture this. You're an Imperial Guardsman, and you've been on campaign for months on end, and you're finally back on your ship. Your whole regiment is underarmed, undermanned, and totally grim after the losses, but you and your remaining squad mates are alive. The regiment is making ready to leave the system when a space hulk emerges, and High Command has decided that it's your squad who will be sent to survey it. Yes, it's basically Warhammer Little
Okay.
Company, okay? There's a bit more to this idea, I promise, just bear with me. Now, running from the many horrors of Warhammer, while your friends get immediately cut off, is great. And that is a goal here. But there's a mechanic from another game that I think would work perfectly to make this even better. So, Phasmophobia is great at forcing the player to confront the ghost. The point of the gameplay is to identify the ghost type, and you're rewarded for putting yourself in greater danger and embracing the horror by intentionally seeking it out. My favourite mechanic in this game is the photo camera, which allows you to photograph the ghost to earn extra money. Doing this forces you to take the greatest risk possible, because you have to allow the ghost to hunt you for it to be seen. This is when the game is at its scariest. So, consider the following. Try photographing a gene stealer.
Oh god.
Try photographing a HRUD.
Oh no.
Try photographing a Chaos Space Marine. Try to photograph a demon.
Oh no.
All of this while your only weapon is a lasgun or las pistol.
interesting.
I've got a very angry flashlight against these monsters.
And all of that could take place in any kind of ship. Because the great thing about a Space Hulk is that it's a conglomeration of all the different ships that have collided with this giant bulk. And so you can have bits set on Orc ships, Chaos ships, Imperial ships, Eldar ships, things from the Dark Age of technology with unknowable horrors. This is just my starting pitch for you guys, and I want to open the discussion here.
I am first of all blown away by the production quality of that. That took me off guard completely.
I'm gonna be straight with you. This is more effort put into a PowerPoint presentation than I did when I was in university. This is actually upsetting. That was actually really good.
I was about to say this is probably more effort Zarek's put into her uni work.
That might be painfully accurate, but don't call me out here, okay?
Well, yeah. So to be fair, I think the idea itself is great for like. I feel like it would go the same route as Phasmophobia, where it would be kind of universally a pretty scary, and I think it could definitely be pretty fun. But I think that the game definitely skews more into this is really, really fun rather than this is really, really scary. And I think that's a really good idea for Warhammer 40k. I think that the setting itself lends itself well to that kind of like theming, because the best outcome for most 40k games is that it's fun, and I think that's just genuinely a good idea. Though I feel like the HRUD bit is kind of like, oh, if you see a Chaos Space Marine, you're probably gonna die. If you see a Chaos Demon, you're probably gonna die or go insane. If you see a HRUD, it's already too late, because like if you're within eye shot of it, you're not good. You'll probably start hearing the.
Yeah, they'll fucking get you.
It'd be so funny to turn around to your teammate and you see him physically age.
Dust.
Absolutely. Well, see, here's a mechanic I was thinking of, right? For in-game equipment, I think CRUD would be fun as one of those not rare but uncommon enemies. And you can take a chrono as a specific piece of equipment. And if the hands on the dial start turning around too fast, that means there's a HRUD close by.
Ooh, I like that. Like a little clicking noise as it goes, and it just starts. It's essentially like a Geiger counter, but it's a HRUD counter.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I see that working.
No, I really like the base idea of that. I think also in a game like that, if it's even slightly janky, that makes it so much better.
Oh, it does.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a couple ones that you didn't mention that have a huge amount of potential. Oh, here's a Lictor, or here's a Neurolictor. Good luck with that
the
one.
rack gall.
Dude, I have a list. I have a list so fucking long of all the creatures and the mechanics that they can function on. You would not believe. I've had this idea in my head since Lethal Company came out.
Interesting.
Like, imagine, if you will, Dark Eldar. They love Space Hulks. That's true fucking horror when they set the grotesques on you.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Or the Chronos, whatever the fuck they're called, the big floaty
The Chronos,
guys.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
But see...
God, Squigs would make for the perfect little jump scare bait.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Or Grots or Gretchens. Yeah.
It's something your lasgun can actually kill.
Yeah. You gotta make it feel strong before they take it away, and that's so much more impactful than...
Can't wait to pull out my camera only to see a Zinj cultist take a picture back of me and then run away.
Yeah.
Just to say, like, wait.
I feel like dealing with Zinj cultists would be like the funniest and most confusing thing ever, because like, oh man, that could be like a very fun like April Fool's level patch or update where like there's a Zinj cult that goes in there, but it's actually not even a cult, it's just a bunch of Zinj demons that don't want to hurt you, they just want to make you incredibly uncomfortable and confused. Like like you walk into a room and you just see a guy who has the same camera as you. He doesn't look like you, he's just another guy dressed kind of similar to you with like all the gear that you have, and he just goes, hi, and you go, who? And then he just disappears. I think that could be kind of fun. Very much like a mimic type beat, right?
So good in games.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great idea. I love that.
Dude, the mechanics, the behaviors, right? Fucking Gene Stealers. You can use the flashlight to shine it on them and they scurry away because they don't like it. They don't like it. So you see them fucking slithering around. That would be fun. And I'm thinking, because your las pack runs on like a power pack, that would be the same power used for the attached lamp. So if you want to turn your light on, you're actually burning ammunition at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah, vice versa. That'd be cool. That's fun.
Oh, that kind of also reminds me of a Get the F Out.
Oh, GTFO, yeah. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, like... Yeah, playing like that, like having like your limited energy, like having that a run with that sounds so fun. You're trying to like either you shoot the Gene Stealer or you shine a light on him. Maybe you're trying to do a task, but now you have to turn your light on. But then if you do that long enough throughout the mission, you have no bullets to shoot when the Nurgle Demon shows up.
Yeah, I was thinking like a plague toad could be a hilarious big guy to hear you fucking
Oh my
flopping
god.
about. Bwap, bwap. You make the wrong turn, you just get fucking tongue eaten. Fucking, yeah,
Yeah.
bad day.
Well, see, I'm thinking a big part of the balance would have to be that there will be passages of different sizes, and not all enemies can fit through them. The only way you're
Of course.
escaping a Chaos Marine is if you can slip through a little vent and escape.
Yeah, yeah. Or you'd have like a lictor that could fit through all of them because it's a fucking lictor. So you're never safe from that one.
I like that.
But there's only ever like one on the map or something. That'd be fun.
Well, better preserve some ammo for it.
Oh, dude. Oh, what are they called? The shape-shifting aliens.
I know the fucking ones.
Yeah,
Shit, I played against them in Only War recently.
I
Shit.
honestly do not know. I shape-shifting aliens, I'm very unfamiliar.
it's old lore. I think it's where they get.
It begins with an S.
I think it's where they get chameleon. No, not chameleon. What's it called? I think it's where they get polymorphine from. Is extracting it from those aliens. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they go to the milking room.
They do go to the milking room. Yes. I've seen them.
Yeah,
Is it Lacrimose?
that's it. I think that's it. Yeah, lacrimals.
Weird.
Because those are the ones I fought recently, and they shapeshift into all sorts of things.
Oh.
Yeah, there are so many weird and random Xenos you could put into the game, and it would be brilliant.
That'd be cool. That's similar to that one SCP horror game. Oh no, it's the Backrooms horror game with different creatures, not SCP. It's the Backrooms one.
Yeah.
Where there's the creatures that can turn into friendly models in the hazmat suits. Same thing. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of SCP, there's some good fucking bits you could take from that. What's it called? Containment Breach? Is that the multiplayer one? That's a lot
Yeah.
of fucking fun.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that one's fucking funny.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good game. I think the idea is pretty solid. I don't know how you could limit things though. Like there's like limited down to like a single idea, but I think it would definitely be interesting.
Well, I think it's one of those games that it has a lot of levels to it, right? So you go to like 20 levels, and every single one of them is going to be more and more intense. Maybe in one of the ships you go through a lictor, and the other ship it's just five chaos cultists absolutely fucking with you for 30 minutes straight.
Yeah, it's cultists of Malal.
They don't actually try to fight you; they're just assholes.
Yeah, watch them not even be of like a normal god. They're of Malal, and that's where Games Workshop decides to bring Malal back. Just the single game. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
Yeah.
God, another good little fucker would be like a Ripper Swarm, or like just a single, like just a few of them.
Oh shit!
Get your ankles
Giving
speed
me-
debuff.
Giving me actual.
Now you move 20% slower.
Give me actual flashbacks to the reason why
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
uninstalled Space Marine 2.
dude, you could have a ship from the Dark Age of technology that's run by an AI core, and it's just the level itself is fucking with you the whole time.
Have you guys ever seen the movie?
Yeah, knowing some of the old school automata.
Have you guys ever seen the movie? What's it called? Virus. It's like 1999, 98 or something like that.
No.
Okay, so
Nah.
I have.
okay, so you know probably where I'm going with this, but basically, like if it is like an age of dark, like a dark age of technology kind of thing. The whole premise of the movie, it's such a weird film because no one talks about it, but it has like such great practical effects. But it's like this alien technovirus is like blasted onto like a modern day Russian military vessel. This vessel then. It doesn't so much gain a mind of its own, but the virus itself can manipulate all the technology in it. So what it does is it uses the component parts of the ship to start building things. And it views humankind and just the pieces that they're made out of as parts that it can use to make new machines. So the end point of the movie, you just see all these like abominations that are just machines that have like organs and sinew and bone to basically just make up the parts that it needs to make a better body. And I feel like that would be kind of an interesting twist to go if you had like a dark age of technology thing that was ran by an AI. Just, yeah, the tensile strength of steel is important, but the flexibility of human sinews are kind of useful as well.
God, the AI one actually would be funny, like servo skulls, just absolutely fucking with you.
Yeah.
Just jump scare servo skull. He's just like, hello, officer, and he just flies by. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, you could have some. Some of them could be fucked up. They could have a little las pistol, or they could have like a little like skull, or like lobotomizer thing that comes at you.
Oh god, a
And it's
lobotomizer.
like, oh, that's actually really fucked when you think about it. Yeah, that's going straight for the eyes.
You walk into the wrong room and it's just a lobotomization room.
I don't want to spoil a Warhammer novel for everyone, but this is an opportunity for spoilers for The Bookkeeper's Skull. Great Warhammer horror, a thing that I quite enjoyed. So spoilers now. Here's the twist. A servo skull in this backshit nowhere agricultural town outside of a hive city is going around murdering people, and no one knows what's doing it. It's just that all the dead bodies turn up with a little hole in the back of their skull.
Oh, God.
Interesting.
And the reason it's doing this is because it was made from a mass murderer that was then converted into a servo skull.
Interesting.
And it was done badly.
Didn't get rid of the murdery bits?
Oh, God.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
So now it flies around. Oh god.
There's so much you could do with that concept. Brilliant book. It's okay. It's got some strengths and some weaknesses, but all around I think it's a very good
Is that
book.
Warhammer horror, or is it just like...
It is. Yeah, The Bookkeeper's Skull. I'm pretty sure the protagonist actually shows up in some Cadian novels, but it's like his origin story.
I'm not going to play my hand just yet, but I've been reading through a lot of the Warhammer horror catalog, and that's going to be what filters my answer. So when it's my turn, I'm sorry, I'm going to have a lot to say. But we shall progress as necessary until that point. Thank you very much. So, yeah, are we going to keep talking about this one, or are we going to move on to the next individual?
I think it's time for the next one.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, Alex, would you like to go next?
All right. So I actually brought 3 ideas, but I'll start with the basic one for now, and then we'll just rotate around. So I called this one Horus Heresy Execution Force, because I like assassins. I was reading Nemesis recently, and it goes hard. What I found out, apparently, there was this execution force that was the first execution force ever made to be sent at Horus to murder him. It was 6 assassins in total, and of course, in the end, we do know they did end up failing. And I actually quite liked that idea. So my idea came in as, Resident Evil. The Resident Evil games, where you go on a mission, you essentially go through absolutely horrible zones and areas, and the trailer of it is jump scares as things come at you. Of course, this can be a space marine, this could be a demon, but I also really like the idea of you play as all 6 assassins throughout the game, and each and every single one of them dies a terrible, horrible death. The Infernus Abomination, also nicknamed Spear, is coming for you in the book Nemesis, where he chases you around, essentially, and tries to kill you. This is a demon blank pariah assassin that was made by Chaos, where they combined a pariah and a demon, slammed it into one, and said, go. And it definitely did.
How does that work?
Yeah, average Horus W, some might say. So in this game, you would essentially go through all 6 assassins, and you go through their mission. And the horror part about it is you will get a bunch of jump scares of this demon assassin randomly showing up, but you're realizing that maybe some of the assassins got corrupted in the process and killed each other, meaning that you might end up playing the assassin that killed your past assassin that you just didn't know about yet.
Huh.
You start mistrusting yourself. You start mistrusting your enemies. And at the end, you don't even know which assassin you might be. You know about the tools you have, so you have a good guess. You just don't know if you're a loyal one or not. And these assassins in the books also didn't fully know anymore by the end if they were loyal or not.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was my first game idea.
Interesting.
Okay.
Among Us the Thing. Gotcha.
So what are the game mechanics here? Like, how's this functioning?
I'm very much a kind of an FPS nerd, so it will be probably more towards, honestly, the normal standard Resident Evil style of third person, looking over the shoulder, doing your missions. Your vision isn't always perfect. You have to turn your cameras around. There's going to be a lot of enemies coming for you because, of course, you have to travel through the universe. You have to, through the galaxy. You have to get onto the Vengeful Spirit and you have to complete your mission. Most of this game would probably take place in that. So see it like Resident Evil 4 inside the Vengeful Spirit. And you end up essentially fucking yourself over earlier and later in the game without realizing that you are your own enemy, as these assassins weren't very good at working together yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first basic idea.
Actually, I'd kind of like that as a Dark Pictures style game, like Until Dawn or something.
Yeah.
Where you've got the cast and it's done as a sort of schlock horror film, and you've got all those like narrative choices and things.
That'd be pretty hard. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, sounds kind of similar to like what you do with like a Left 4 Dead type beat, but one guy.
Kind of in that manner, but it would essentially loop back on itself 6 times, and you would have the same Infernus Abomination chasing you through all 6 different stories within the same game.
Yeah. Of course. And next idea, what is it? I'm curious if that's the most basic one.
All right, so I'll instantly go into the next one. Hell yeah, this is the one I'm excited for because I know you will enjoy this one, Arthur. The next one is called Angel of Death, Loken. After Isvan 3, you are completely alone. A voice speaks in your head. Cerebus is watching. You kill and try to survive as you go through a zombie apocalypse on a planet with no one else there. You are not 100% of your you're not 100% in control of your own controls. Sometimes you kill things before you are even sure if they are there. Issue is, they aren't always zombies. You see them as zombies through your eyes. Sometimes you get flashes. They are actually just surviving guardsmen. Just surviving fellow space marines. It's like the Happy Few, but turned into a zombie shooter.
Okay.
And at the end, you try to fight against the big old boss. And before you finally kill him, it is Garrow. And you are taken away. And this game does have a happy ending. Because the other game I made, no happy endings. This game would have a happy ending. However, you are horrified by the fact that you don't know if the enemies you are killing are actually the enemies, or maybe just survivors that are trying to ask for help. As you are Loken, you hear voices in your head, and you don't always have control about your actions. Sometimes the character might turn around and shoot for you, because he hears something. Or your vision gets blurry, or your gun suddenly has no more bullets even though you just reloaded, and then your gun is in the other hand. It will be an FPS, it'd be super intense for the first part, but over time it gets spookier and spookier as you don't really know what Loken is truly going through. And at the end, it is revealed after Garrow finally clicks him back into reality.
Interesting.
It's like Schizo Simulator.
Essentially, yes.
So, by chance, did you take any inspiration for this from Spec Ops: The Line? Because it sounds very...
I actually haven't, but that is a really good point.
Yeah, it has kind of a similar vibe to it. You don't know what's real. You're just trying to survive. I'm a fan of it. I think that it's very interesting. Loken's an interesting character to kind of go with, because, like, the idea of playing a space marine in a horror game is kind of an interesting idea.
Well, the thing is, by him being in such a state, at this point he isn't fully... Like, he's a space marine, of course, physically, but he isn't fully armored anymore. Most of his gear is broken. He is weak after years of walking around by himself. So he would struggle against a lot of things that are left on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wanted to go more with him as well, where he doesn't... Like, you as the viewer kind of knows Loken. You're aware that he's Loken, but he doesn't fight like a space marine from Space Marine 2. Because he's no longer in that state of existence.
Just a feral man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a feral man going at it. Ooga booga.
Gosh,
Going at it.
Oh yeah, those were the 2 main ideas I had.
Oh, didn't you say you had 3? Or was I just mishearing?
I have one more.
Oh, okay, now I'm frightened.
Someone else can go first. No. Someone else can go first. Aaron, what is your idea?
Okay. So I'll retouch on the one I did last time, because I still think it slaps.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it hits really fucking hard. And that was an Outlast style game. First person survival horror-esque sort of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Based as some random Imperial citizen dealing with a Gene to the Cult invasion or uprising in your city.
Mm-hmm.
And you get nabbed and taken to like the Deep Hive. And it's basically like a super graphic, super detailed first person Outlast style trying to get out of this fucking hellhole with all these god-awful Gene to the Cult hybrid abomination cultists around every corner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
And it can get more and more fucked as you go along. So it starts off, some cultists with guns, that's alright. You get some hybrids with some Tyranid bits, pretty spooky. Then you get, like, aberrants. And you get some of the weird psychic things. Actual gene stealers, And if it's like locked in a locker, you see a patriarch through the grate sort of walk along, clicking, salivating, doing its normal weird fucking things. And it's like, holy shit, that's kind of fucking nuts.
I like that.
Oh, dude, you could bring in like those Resident Evil biohazard elements where obviously they've brought you here because they want to induct you, and so there might be scenes where you're forced to sit with them, or you're tied up by them like somewhere, and you've got like that limited time to get out before they can send a gene stealer in to give you the kiss.
Oh God.
The old patriarch comes along and gives you a big fucking wet one on the forehead. Mwah. Parasite, yeah. I mean, it could be a scene where you get Parasite and you have to cut off your own arm or something. Shit like that, and it could be super graphic. It could get really fucking into it. And when you get out, we talked about there being a bunch of sequels, like, you get out as you see the big Tyranid ship arrive, or you see an orc ship, or you see, like, demons floating about. And then after that, you got Grey Knights, and the horror changes from, like, demons to now you know too much, and you have to avoid Grey Knights, and all the horrors that come with actual man-made horrors, being these giant, silver-clad monstrosities walking around, trying to beat you to death, because they know you're around, and you know too much. But, you said something earlier, Zarek, and it pissed me off because you hit the nail right on the head because it was relevant to my new idea.
Yeah?
Because I've been playing a lot of the Man of Medan, House of Ashes, Little Hope style games. And I was like, a Warhammer version of those would be fucking sick.
Oh my god.
Maybe either like
Where-
like third person storytelling, or maybe like a pixel art choice based style system as well would work.
What would work best for that, do you think? Like, do you do an Inquisition and their team investigating something? Because I feel like that's a great way to have like a schlock horror sort of thing with those choices.
That'd be great with some variety. Still mortal men, but you got like, his fuck nugget tech priest with his servitor.
Fuck
cool
nuggets.
Fuck nugget. Yeah, I don't know, but you got these options. You got from tech priest with servitor to the main inquisitor to some random thing, and you got something really horrific on the ship with you.
Ooh.
Or it could just be a group of scions getting sent to some weird call, and you're just a bunch of not average Joes, but obviously still men. You're not. You don't know the weird shit. You're still just guardsmen sort of thing.
Okay.
Any sort of like distress signal response style game and all the things that go with it, like Man of Medan sort of thing, where you go into this giant sea cruiser and there's the hypnotic gas going around. There could be some funny warp entity in the middle of it, like some big Zinch demon just having fun because you've been lured into his theoretical sort of game that you set up.
Yeah.
Or anything akin to that, I think it'd be quite funny.
Oh, God forbid.
With inter-character relations.
Dude,
yeah.
God forbid a Night Lord puts you in their saw trap.
Right. Yeah, that'd be so good.
Good evening, Jonathan. You will notice that you have awoken. Your pants and underwear are gone. Your balls are covered in egg yolk and Crisco, and below you is a fat fry. Wait, stop. No, you're supposed to wait for the... As he dunks.
Oh God!
In front of you, there's a barrel of peas. Stop eating the peas. I haven't even started yet.
You never appreciated your skin. In front of you is an auto flare.
It's just a giant cheese grater.
This is a giant fucking grater.
It's just a potato peeler from Kenshin.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the peeler, yeah.
This is really good.
Jesus. I mean, I think just being like a really schizo or like warp tainted Imperial Psycho could be fun as well. And like on like a battlefield and everything starts going fuzzy.
Oh no, dude.
That could be a good one.
Dude, forget that. A navigator, right? A navigator trying to navigate the warp.
Yeah, no, their life is a horror game, actually.
Yeah, that'd be good. Like,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of like Voices in the Void-esque. That'd be
It
quite
would.
cool.
Oh my god, that'd be incredible.
That would be very cool, actually. Holy shit. Yeah, that would slap.
And like, there's got a whole section of the game where you have to actively traverse the way that your navigator perceives the warp. Because all of them see it differently. Some see it as an ocean, some see it as a forest, others might see it as a city, And so you can do really weird things with the perception of your psyker, and just have you trying to make your way through a forest every now and then, or trying to sail a boat through the sea, or just trying to not get shanked on your way through London.
Yeah.
Difficulty
Ain't that the
impossible.
Difficulty Birmingham. The planet Birmingham.
No, that'd be sweet, actually.
The planet Birmingham. You know, the one in 40K.
Oh,
The
that is
planet.
canon. Canon.
Oh yes, the Black Planet. Yes, of course. How could no one be aware
Yeah,
of
good
the
old
Black
Birmingham,
Planet?
home to
Truly.
the chapter of Space Marines. I forgot what their name was, but it was something weird. It was I know their emblem was a shining, stabby knife, and I thought that was really inappropriate, but also really funny.
That's incredible. Holy shit.
Yeah, there is a single Birmingham
amazing.
chapter of Space Marines. Yeah, there it is. Their chapter is, oh goodness, the Harbingers. Oh my god, I forgot the chapter master's name is Nimrod Grunge. Yeah, hailing from Birmingham,
New horror game. New horror game. You're in Birmingham.
the city.
Oh yeah, it is just yeah. I see them. Okay, that's really funky color scheme.
Yeah,
But oh my god, I think we ought not to plunge these depths too far. Otherwise, it will stare back.
Birmingham.
So Arthur, what's this idea that you've been sitting on the whole time?
I asked Tom explicitly for permission to do this, and he said okay as long as I end with an idea, which is cool. I've been quiet because I don't want to play my hand just yet, but as we all know, as I discussed this earlier, I am more passionate about horror gaming, and horror media than I am about Warhammer by more leagues than you could ever imagine. They're like a on the scale like
Like horror games, Warhammer monkeys.
they're in like they're in the top 10 but not the top 5. So with horror gaming, I'm going to break down, and my thesis here, this is my thesis statement, making a genuinely scary horror game in Warhammer with how Games Workshop and how horror gaming works would not work. But I will wrap this up to show you that it does work as long as GW doesn't do GW things. So the reason why 40K as a setting doesn't really work for horror, and I say that because I've been reading a lot of the Warhammer horror catalog. I take a break every now and then because I find most of it is absolute dog water bad. And I just, my standards are too high for horror. So when I go into it, I can see the references they're pulling from, and I'm like, okay, cool, but you're squandering it. I get frustrated because Warhammer 40K as a setting is rife with possibility for these kinds of horrific concepts. But the fact that I have a job kind of defeats the purpose of Warhammer as a horror, because horror comes from several different locations. The key ones being disempowerment and the unknown. Those are the two major ones that if you don't know something, if you don't know what you're looking at, then you are likely to be more afraid of it if you don't understand. And disempowerment, 40K is just a power fantasy. It's all it has ever been. It's giant. Even like we joke about the lasgun being this little like it's that. But the lasgun is terrifyingly powerful in comparison to any of our modern weapons. It fires like a gazillion shots. The wounds don't cauterize and immediately get infected if they survive. And also, it's about as strong as like a 45. It's like impossibly powerful. And you can charge it and refuel it by throwing the power pack on a fire. That's insane.
Yeah.
So even the humble guardsman equipped with the little flashlight might seem powerless, but even by the standards of Warhammer, that's still technically a power fantasy. Like playing a catechin, those guys could arm wrestle Space Marines somehow. But that's kind of why I find that if Games Workshop or any of the other companies associated would try to make a genuine effort at a horror game, it would be incredibly difficult because GW would want to put in the big names. They would want to put in like the Gene Stealers, and they would want you to be like, oh yeah, but like remember, humans are just as powerful as Tyranids, so like we can still fight them. We can't lose immediately with a squad of like 10 guys. But I find because of that, the horror that's been presented in a lot of Games Workshop and Warhammer horror is basically propped up on the phrase, well, you were just kind of fucked from the beginning. And I hate that. I hate that so much. I feel like that is such a cop-out. Like, I actually liked The Watcher in the Rain. It wasn't that great of a story. But again, the entire premise of that story was, oh, you're just fucked from the beginning. There wasn't literally anything you could do. So it's like, okay, so why should I even be invested? Like, Lost in the Damned, that anthology, they hired horror legend Doug Bradley, the original actor for Pinhead from the Hellraiser film in the 80s and 90s, to narrate it, because he also does like a lot of voice work for narration on the side. Yeah, and they even got him to narrate a story. I forgot what it was called, but it was the first story that was in there, starring a commissar who was basically just going insane and was seeing people with blue eyes and thought they were like infected by some chaos taint that would kill them, and he ended up killing his entire platoon. Or maybe they weren't even there to begin with. We don't know. But the references there were obviously like allusions to Clive Barker. Clive Barker made a pretty decent short story once upon a time. Okay, he made a lot, but the short story was Pig's Blood Blues. Very weird story. I recently had reread The Books of Blood, which is an anthology story with all these short stories in it. And his horror short stories are so good that they are like over and like quoted all the time. Like I could name several stories from these short stories and you guys wouldn't even know that they were originally from Clive Barker. Like the Candyman movie was based off of his original like short stories. Rawhead Rex. The Midnight Meat Train, just a bunch of stuff came from him, and a lot of Games Workshop's authors tend to reference a lot of stuff that he did, as well as like other more contemporary and more modern horror authors. And I find that the way that they do it, poop from a butt. It's bad. What was it? There was like another one that I read and I finished it and I wasn't the worst one I read. The worst one that I read was Perdition's Flame. That was unironically such a bad goddamn like audio drama that it was an hour long. I felt like I lost 2 years of my life. Like it's like talk about not understanding.
It was that
really bad.
It's fine if you weren't hoping for horror. But it was meant to be a horror.
Yeah, it was. What the fuck does that mean? It's fine if you weren't expecting a horror from Warhammer Horror.
Listen, man. You know what the score is. You don't go in expecting it.
That was my first one. Okay. Unfortunately, that was my first soiree with it. And just like, for those who don't know, it's like, again, Games Workshop couldn't help themselves, and they were getting so close because they got all my favorite voice actors who were part of like the audio or the Audible like crew to do like Warhammer books. Like Andrew Wincott, Talos himself was voicing the main guy, and it's just like they were building a decent atmosphere of mystery, and like I thought it was super cool. And then right at the end, it just turns out, oh, whoopsie poopsie, it wasn't actually an evil demon. They were just stealing away a Legion of the Damned member. And I'm like, that's stupid. And then the lady who's going with the guy's like, no, I have to die here. Why? Because I have to die here.
I hated that.
And I'm like, that's bullshit. And it goes back to he lands his pod off of this Nurgle-infested ship on a planet, and he's going to starve to death. I'm like, oh, so again, you're fucked from the beginning. And I find most of Warhammer Horror is that. And it's because GW can't help themselves. They have to put the recognizable stuff in. They have to write from the perspective of stuff that other people know. And they have to explicitly say, this is a blank. And I can't stand it. Like, even like with Nurgle, there are bits that you could take that would make a really good story. You just don't even have to say it's Nurgle, just show it's a disease that's spreading. And you could just say, this is a normal disease, or you could infer that it's something else. And that's why I think that like Warhammer horror games are incredibly hard to make, because Warhammer fans as a whole cannot help themselves. And Games Workshop wouldn't be able to help it either, because it'd be like, it would just take one person on the staff of the writing team to be like, wouldn't it be cool if a Dark Angel showed up? And then everybody would be like, that's so fucking sick. And immediately you ruin it, because how am I supposed to be afraid if there's a space marine right there? The space marine could totally just get absolutely mollywopped, like fucking bashed against the wall. But you just reminded me that this is a product that is being produced because Space Marine is there. So I think that making a game, you would have to not say a single thing and have the people that are playing rely on their aforementioned knowledge. So I'm coming into this letting you guys know that fucking Warhammer Horror as a product, I hate, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm keeping my hand on the stove as I turn the heat up, and I keep trying.
I can save you. I can save you. There is a really good Warhammer horror novel that I actually really enjoy.
Which is it? Because I've probably read it.
It's not from 40k.
Elaborate.
It is the Age of Sigmar novel, Dark Harvest.
That's on the list for me, actually.
Damn.
It's on the list. You've not read it yet?
It is on the list, because I'm going through all of Warhammer Horror to read it. Fantasy is better for it, because you can leave things less explained, because it's not a science setting. But yeah, continue.
Well, no, not specifically fantasy, but specifically Sigmar is good, because everything in Sigmar is half unexplained. And they don't bother to explain half of it anyway,
because there's no
so
Sigmar
fine.
lore channels. Never mind, I'm not going to start.
I think I saw one, but they also do tactics.
It's also Colin, so...
It's such a shame, because Sigmar could be really, really good. And I do quite like it, but also it's so hard to get invested in the setting, because nothing's tangible. It's all very airy-fairy, kind of. There's 5 places that exist, and everything happens in those 5 places.
The best thing I'm aware of that's come out of Sigmar is that one Warhammer Plus animation about the fucking purple dude.
Oh, the funny guy, the funny man with the purple armor. Yeah, I loved that. That was great. But Dark Harvest, amazing. Listen to the audiobook. The voice actor who does it, I love the way he reads it. I'm so sorry, I've forgotten his name, but it's genuinely incredible.
Yeah. I'll check it out.
I was. It's all about the fear of being in a forest. It's got some really good classic horror themes. I wish the ending was a little bit better, but overall I really like it. And it's not a you're fucked from the beginning. The guy could have turned around at any time, but he fucked himself.
Of course.
And I like that. So highly recommend.
So I'm a fan of that kind of horror. I think that that actually ties into the thing, because I think I have more experience about Warhammer games than Warhammer horror games, because I ran one. I'm a D&D GM, and I have been for well over about 17 years now, and because of that, I tried with the Warhammer 40k systems. I tried various ones of them, and there was this one campaign that I had modified relatively sparsely, but I got rid of the majority of every encounter in that game and made it mostly a puzzle. But for those who don't know, I've been sitting on this for a little while, and I'm going to make this into a video at some point, because it's one of the most interesting lore tidbits I've ever seen. But I think if you were going to do a Warhammer horror game and make it actually scary, you have to not downplay a single thing in the Warhammer setting. You can't just be their guns don't work for some reason. No. The guns should work as intended, and you should give genuinely scientific reasoning as to why they wouldn't in specific situations. Like a las gun can kill a space marine. You genuinely could. With enough shots, you can melt through ceramite, and with enough shots, you could hit one of the soft seals. It's not completely useless. There's a reason why the Siege of Vrax actually was a back and forth fight, but there's this concept that I really, really enjoy, and I forgot what it was. I think it was from the 3-Body Problem, that book series from a while back. Where I think it was from them. I'm probably misquoting, because I went through a sci-fi phase and they all kind of blend together. But there's this idea of the Dark Forest, and Zarek reminded me of that when she said Dark Forest. Okay, so the idea of the Dark Forest is as humanity progresses and becomes a blip on the radar, and they are now able to interact with other alien races, you have to think of the universe as this massive dark forest that is pitch black, where because you are not advanced enough to be able to light yourself up, you are kind of whatever. You're not able to really be perceived, but you can see the lights of other individuals wandering through the woods. And once you get to a certain point where you are recognized as that, you immediately light up a torch. Now, that is one of the scariest ideas ever of that means everybody else can see you because you are alone in a dark wooded area. And I'm butchering this quote, but this idea, but basically because you are able to be seen, that means that you are able to be perceived, which means you are able to be approached. And I think that that's kind of the horror that you have to play off of. And that's what I based an entire, not a mini campaign, but a campaign on for Warhammer Only War. Now, Only War is one of the many different branches of the Warhammer 40k D100 system. We played basically all of them. I'm preferential to Dark Heresy, because that's the Inquisitor one. That one's really cool. But Only War has many different systems for you to lead platoons and squads of guardsmen, as it's the one that's based off of guardsmen. Now, the premise of this game, Zarek, you were giving me a heart attack earlier as you were describing this because it was getting very, very similar to this specific campaign. But if you guys look it up, you'll find the cover for it, and it's very interesting. It is called No Surrender. It is a campaign module for Only War. And the premise is you are a part of a Vestroyan hyper-specialized unit. You're basically drafted in, not from Vestroya, but from alternating units to bring in an entire, massive platoon of guardsmen onto a Space Hulk that suddenly emerged. This massive Space Hulk stretching thousands of kilometers wide and even twice as much longer. And you are going on to there because there are weird readings that this is from the Dark Age of technology. Now, you show up to find out what is on there. Now, the way that I modified the campaign, you'll never know because I'll never tell you how I did it. But you show up, and how I ran it was corridor to corridor. There is nothing but dusty bones and ancient technology that none of it works. And how you would play is you are a super armored, because the Vestroyan unit, by the way, if you look them up, they're real. It's a subsection platoon that specializes in void warfare called the Void Worms. They're cool as shit. So they have this specialized armored Cossack helmet that has a rebreather on it. It's cool. But they're all equipped with melta guns, plasma guns, everything you'd need. And the way that I ran the game is that they would go from corridor to corridor and they would break off in small squads of 10 to 30 guardsmen. And I made sure that the largest guardsman squad is with you. And everybody was just making their way through the corridors, and it took several sessions to find out what was going on, as this is how the game would play out, where you would go in, and it would seem like it was just simply a puzzle game, and maybe there would be defense systems that you would have to shoot with whatever artillery or whatever gun that you had, las gun, hot shot, las, fucking bolt gun if you're a sergeant or whatever. You would have weapons to deal with shit in this. And the turrets would come down, you'd disable them, there'd be puzzles upon how to open doors, as there was a distress signal that you discover about midway through your journey, and you realize, okay, if this is someone from the Dark Age of technology, the tech priests are urging us to go check it out, everybody's urging us to go check it out, even the high command is, and the further you go into the Space Hulk, the more and more the signal to your barge, the shit that you came in on, was fading. It was getting lesser and lesser and lesser because there was this positional gyroscopic whatever that told them where they were, and essentially as they were going deeper, at a certain point they realized that they would basically be about 20 kilometers below the surface of Earth, level deep into this solid metal hulk. And because of that, just the level of metal that was getting in the way, their comms weren't working, their voxes weren't working. But again, it was a heavily armored platoon. And this is when they get to the cryo room, which is where the distress signal had been reading. Now, this cryo room is massive, but weirdly enough, mostly destroyed. And directly in the center of it, you realize that this is from a Space Marine battle barge. And you're like, oh my god, this predates prior to the Great Crusade. This could be a Thunder Warrior. This could be a pre-corruption, one of the traitor legions and whatever, and there's one cryopod, and it is active and thrumming with a dull blue light that coats the entire room, as there have been no lights in the entirety of this Space Hulk up until this point. So the fact that there's a single lit area is supposed to highlight the fact that this is weird, and inside that cryopod is something that is not human. It is massive, bulky. The plate, you cannot make it out, but it is something in full armor. The cryopod itself seems to have been hastily modified to support something more that was inside there. The second you walk in, the doors seal, and the pod begins its awakening rites. Everybody begins to scream as the tech priests begin to claw their own eyes out and collapse to the ground, as what walks out is not a pre-traitor Marine, not a traitor Marine, not a loyalist Marine, but it is a Marine that had snuck on there within the last 50 years to conduct one of the darkest rituals in the history of the entire setting. This Marine is from an obscure chapter of Space Marines made from the chimeric gene seed of the Iron Warriors and the Alpha Legion, known as the Praetors of Ruin, and they are a warpsmith that is about 100 bodies short to turn the entirety of that Space Hulk into a demon engine. So the entirety of the game's premise was, you are about 100 kilometers away from where you need to be to get off this ship. He needs to kill 100 people to awaken the demonic ritual that would turn a Space Hulk the size of a planet into the most dangerous and largest demon engine in history. You need to get out. Your weapons do not work because his armor is so heavily modified that even the meltaguns only scorch and slow him down. In the game, he has stats. He even has a name. You can kill him. It is not easy. And that also means you have to stay still enough to point your gun at him. So you have to make several different choices. Do you stay? Do you leave? Do you fight? Or do you hide? And the entire game that I had propped up was based around how long it took for you to get out. If you spent days there, he would start making demon engines. He would start making weapons of war that would come hunt you down, because he was a master of what he did. He was a mixture of Alpha Legion. Well, okay, it's never specifically stated that he's part Iron Warrior, but he's a warpsmith, which are only Iron Warriors, but he's also from a legion or a warband that is only described as Alpha Legion, so he's probably one, the other, or both. He has art, by the way. This Space Marine has art. And it's really high-res art.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
So, the entire game's premise is trying to escape. Your weapons might work, but do you want to try and kill the thing that has a refractor field, an iron halo, stolen tech? And oh, by the way, did I mention he has mounted meltaguns, plasma guns, and flamers on his little back? Yeah. And if you want to be a dick, like I was, I didn't even have him make the demon engines. I had him day by day stalk every single one of the players, and not even stealthily. Why? He is a fucking Space Marine. He does not need to sleep. He does not need to stop. He does not need to rest. But unfortunately, you do. And that's why I think that if you did the game like that, you could do a pretty good game. You could have guardsmen show up in flak armor. You could have scions, but there could be mechanics of, oh, you could regroup with other guardsmen to have a better chance of fighting him, or you could just try and fucking leave, because congratulations, if you fail, there's the entire last 100 pages of that book are describing what you're going to need to do further to escape the Space Hulk as it's turned into a demon engine, which is not... It's not fun. It's not fun.
God.
But
My goodness.
I'm trying to find it.
What a fucking preamble, dude. Holy
I'm
shit.
trying to find the exact image of this guy. But I found it. Please, I gotta find the exact image. I had to go on the actual page for Warpsmith. But This is the exact guy that comes out of the cryopod.
Oh Lord, that is a bad time.
I think that the level of so it kind of covers. I don't want people to explicitly say, "Oh yeah, he's a warpsmith from the Praetors of Ruin subsection of the Alpha Legion." No, I don't even want there to be a cutscene. I just want him to be the shit that plops into the cereal bowl that is your life. And I want the thing to open, and I just want, even if you're not even looking at him, say you're looking at Archaeotech in the background, I want there to just be like the and then it comes out, the tendrils start to unwind, and you just hear gunfire as people start hammering rounds into him. But because of a mixture of like demonic magics and just what have you, they just don't work, or they have very minimal effect. And they do work in certain areas, like you can see tendrils becoming scorched and whatever. I want it to be inferred that you could win. There is a possibility that you could win, but it's not easy because, again, artificer armor, dark powers, and also demon shit that you have to worry about. But I think that this is one of those games that I think would benefit from having an open end. My players died horribly. Absolutely. They didn't know anything about Warhammer, so they're just like, I mean, he's just a big guy. How hard could it be? The answer is very hard because you're shooting at a goddamn space marine. But yeah. No Surrender is one of the most interesting campaigns I've ever seen. And I modified it because, like, in the original game, there were cultists that were basically worshipping the guy. I didn't want that. I just wanted it to be the slow build up over a bunch of different sessions to build the horror to make you think that this game is this. And that plays into one of the key features of the game, of like what I mentioned earlier, disempowerment. That is one of the key features to make someone afraid, where you build someone up as being a capable and resourceful like fighter, and then you just have them be absolutely decimated when this man can just run through a guy and turn them into a fine red mist. I kind of took a lot of inspiration just strictly from the art that's on the cover for the No Surrender campaign book, which is literally just this. And it's...
artwork.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many interesting bits that are in the No Surrender book. Because, like, if you let the guy get to the foundries, like, if you get just enough head start, he starts actually the production of demon engines. And there's just, like, entire chapters discussing the open warfare that would happen. And it is so interesting. And it was so rife with the idea of telling, like, a good horror story. But again, GW doesn't have patience, so they'd be like, nah, there's got to be gene stealers leading up to it. I'm like, no, but there doesn't. You just need one space marine, and that motherfucker's a nemesis from Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, you know? Like, he has to be that, but worse, because he'll run full sprint at you.
God, that'd be horrifying. Just a moment you see him step out, the music changes, for a moment there is silence, and then just... hard music, start running.
I don't even want there to be music. I want you to know that there is a threat from the fact that everyone in your platoon immediately raised their guns and started shooting.
Yeah, it's just suddenly an explosional sound.
Yeah. I prefer, in terms of, like, sound design for, like, games and shit, I prefer diegetic sound rather to non-diegetic sound, specifically for horror. Like, the sounds in the game should be the thing that tell you. I think, like, for, like, oh, yeah, up until that point, sure, have some music, have some, like, oh, little, ooh, like, spooky music. But the second you find out what the actual threat is, nah, fuck you, deal with it. But, yeah, I would base my game... if I were to make one, around the story that I did there, because I think mechanically, it doesn't matter how good the game is. I think you just need to have a good story and a good build up to something that is recognizable, but also something that we don't need to tell you that this is a threat. Like, we put it there. We don't have to go, oh my god, we have to run. It's a space marine warsmith. They're gonna kill us if we... No, just... like, you get into the other room, you lock the bulkhead behind you, your sergeant looks at you and goes, what the fuck was that? And then, before he can reply, a fucking meaty fist just reaches through the door, crashing through the bulkhead, grabs him by the neck and pulls his carcass through. Like... I want shit like that where we don't discuss why it's a threat. We just see it as a threat, right?
Yeah, we just know.
Dude, I'm looking at that Cadian in his green armor, looking up at the shadow, and I'm just thinking, snap the bees!
One second. Oh. Yeah, what's that fucking... I gotta find the picture of that
Walks in.
cat.
Monkey.
Which cats? I'm very knowledgeable on cats.
It's just like, oh yeah, when the space marine finally gets a hold of you and he hasn't eaten in like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, Luna, the crunch cat. Yeah,
That's a hell of a fucking crunch face, yeah, Jesus.
Crunch.
Yeah, I love it.
We have our resident scrunch as well.
Hell yeah. But yes, I'm very passionate about the topic of horror, and I say that because I've been someone who has given people nightmares with my D&D campaigns, so like...
I love that. That's great.
That's pretty good. No, that's funny.
Well, see, you've got me thinking about an old concept. You got me thinking about an old concept I had. Mm-hmm. But let me pitch it to you as a game concept instead, because it was originally like a fiction thing. Well, let me twist it here. So, you're a tech priest, probably just an engine seer, nothing too highly elevated, and you're working in the deeper depths of your forge world. That's all well and good, until the clock strikes midnight, and the Cicatrix Maledictum opens.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Now, all of a sudden, baleful energies are assailing the world, and an ancient evil from beneath the surface of the planet is awakening. Something from the forge world's history that they'd rather keep buried. And the core premise of the game is that it's a lot like, say, Dead Space, but there are two layers to reality. The real world and the noosphere. And you have to interface with the noosphere in order to work machines that will let you progress. But when you do, you leave yourself prone to attacks from data geists and other weird warp entities and scrap code floating around. I think a Dead Space style game along those lines, also where your best weapon is your omniscient axe, and so you got to get up close to the monsters, would be fantastic.
You have two choices, run or charge.
Run or charge.
Fight or flight, I know what I'm going. I'm charging that bad boy. Come here.
Fucking flee or tally ho. Yeah, come on.
But the benefit here is that because it's the Mechanicus, you can get away with absolute weird shit that makes makes no sense and has no explanation.
I like that. Yeah, that is true, because there is indeed like a lot of technology stuff and a lot of even religious stuff that would make no sense at all. Or just randomly, in this case, like a door just doesn't open. Why? The machine spirit is a little upset with you.
Yeah, and Arthur, what you were saying earlier about diegetic sound, you can have the game be devoid of music, except for when you enter the temple district. And the old engines that would normally play like auto sermons and hymns, shit that sounds like the soundtrack of Mechanicus, is twisted and deformed and out of sync, and there's something horribly wrong with it.
Yeah. I assume it sounds something similar to like Akira Yamaoka's work on Silent Hill 1, where it just sounds like a guy whose dick is made of forks and he's sticking it into a blender.
I think I know what you're referencing, and maybe not quite that. I think it's eerier if there's a harmony there. If there's an awful discordant harmony, a little bit like if you've played the DLC for Outer Wilds.
I have not.
Okay, anyone who's played the DLC,
No.
and the discordant tune that I'm thinking of, you'll know it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Mm-hmm. That's the rule for that's the rule for Outer Wilds. You're not allowed to tell anyone. You can't spoil it for anyone. That's the rule.
Damn.
Yeah. Hell yeah. But yeah, I give my idea. That is my idea and my long ass spiel. How idea work.
That gave me the spooks, because I am easily spooked. That gave me the spooks just thinking about it. I felt my blood pressure slowly rising.
I will say, side note, the what's his name? The Space Marine, not allowed to talk at all. He's all about business. He didn't give a shit.
No.
Oh my god.
No talking,
that's
only
brilliant.
murder.
Literally, not even grunting or screaming. I want him to be literally just like, okay, let's rumble. I'm here to get something done, right?
The only thing you hear is his mechanical boots hitting the fucking deck. He's clunk, clunk as he comes after you.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's the plan.
I like that.
not a fan.
Not a fan, no. Well, I'm good. Good spooky game.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm gonna. Yeah, that reminds me. I've also been playing a lot of spooky games recently, so it got me in the mood to talk about horror shenanigans. So
Hell yeah. I think 40k offers us a lot of horrific places. And to me, peak horror in 40k isn't just from the denizens of the galaxy. It's from the places that are made there. For example, the Astra Telepathica stations.
Oh, fuck no.
The choir chambers. Oh my fucking god. I can rattle off like 3 or 4 novels like immediately that have horror scenes take place in those places. Like I'm pretty sure there's one in the Nightlord's Omnibus. There's one in the Araman Omnibus. There's stuff about that in the Shara Calpurnia novels. Like, oh my god, that place, those places show up so often. And for dear listeners who are not in the know, these are essentially massive buildings or space stations full of astropaths. And they're usually kept separate from the bulk of the population because the noise of other people's minds will upset them. And when they sing their messages out into the void as a choir, sometimes you're essentially lighting up a giant fucking campfire in the dark forest that is the warp.
Oh.
Bad things get in there.
Yes.
Bad things.
And God forbid you fire up the grill.
yeah, snacks, crunchy.
Well, actually, talking about a dark forest, it's funny because my third idea and my last idea for today was after recently, and this is spoiler theory for people that haven't read it yet. If you have not started the Siege of Terra novel series, these like the 8 books before. First of all, shame on you.
What?
Second of all,
yeah, no, fuck you. I'm not gonna be nice anymore. Fuck you.
yeah, no, that's what you get. You were mean to me before for no particular reason, and I'll be mean to you. But
Yeah, okay. Now you're just gonna spoil my story that I haven't gotten to yet. Okay.
now I will quickly tell this one. So I had one more. As you guys know, every time I get on the podcast and every time I'm asked about games, I will always bring up a point-and-click adventure because I love point-and-click adventures. It's always a good time having some scary scenes with sometimes some quick time events in there that I quite enjoy. So in the Siege of Terra novel series, throughout the books, there is a pretty following line of the Emperor, Malkador, Horus, the Chaos Gods, and other people having visions around Terra, where they essentially enter this forest in the warp. It's a snowy forest, it's always dark, and in a lot of these parts of these stories, the Emperor is sitting at a campfire, and sometimes it's Malkador sitting at the campfire, sometimes it's other people sitting at the campfire. When I read these pieces, the most interesting part about it is Horus approaches the Emperor as a wolf at one point. And he's like, "Father, you see me. Here I am." And the Emperor just kind of ignores him and looks into the darkness past him and just goes, "I deny you." Because he's talking to the Chaos Gods that are in these forests, looking over Horus's shoulder at the Emperor at this discussion. And essentially, that kind of gave me the idea of a point-and-click adventure where maybe you are an astropath or a navigator sitting on Terra, and you're going into a vision. Maybe you're sleeping. It's just one of those dream sequence games, right? And you essentially join this forest as these things are happening. In this story, multiple people kind of do go in and out a little bit, and everybody kind of is aware of each other. What if you essentially get to watch parts of the Horus heresy happen, parts of the Emperor meeting Horus, happen. However, the Chaos Gods can take notice of you, the Emperor can take notice of you, the Wolf can take notice of you, and there would be 60 different ways the story would end with you dying in your dream, by any of these that see you and chase you throughout the forest. How quickly you respond to certain events, what choices you make will result in a different ending. Maybe Korn gets a hand on you. Maybe Slanesh gets a hand on you. Maybe it is the Emperor himself. Maybe you're brought back then. Who knows? This is very much a more esoteric, spooky kind of game that has a couple small jump scares. But you kind of, it's more a dread building game, right? Where it starts kind of nice, but you over time kind of realize it's really not nice. Maybe the animals you've seen represent a lot more than just a rabbit. Maybe that's literally a chaos god that you saw walk by.
Oh, I see. I'm big Franbo vibes.
Oh,
big
God, that's
Franbo
a
vibes.
Franbo vibe. What the fuck are Franbo vibes?
You've never seen
Elaborate.
Franbo?
dude.
Not by the name Franbo,
pretty good.
no.
It's a pretty good game. Just watch Markiplier's playthrough, honestly.
Franbo. Let me look up Franbo. I might have seen it. I still recognize the name.
Yeah, kind of in that direction, yeah. That was kind of what I was thinking in it, right? Where it's like, because I like my esoteric point-and-click games.
Oh,
You can
yes,
make it,
I have seen clips
yeah,
of
you
this
can
game.
make it proper spooky. And because it is not, even though it is indirectly linked to 40k, it still does represent the characters in a more all-round way of what they truly are as a creature. Maybe not in the physical universe, but more in the warp part of it all. Meaning that everybody is as dangerous to each other as everybody, but in the end, you are completely helpless between all these entities. You are so much weaker and so much more killable than all these other entities in this forest.
I think that could definitely work. Though that also reminds me that, like, I don't know why, but you gave me another idea, and the idea is like bureaucratic horror. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever played Papers, Please.
Oh,
That,
God.
but a day that, but it's your first day as an administratum adept, and you were only put there as a misfiling by accident. Congrats, you didn't study this shit. Literal showed up to a test
Oh,
on
no.
Actually.
what?
Dude,
No,
No,
I
sorry,
got
keep going.
go
I'll
ahead.
say it in a
I'm
minute.
brain dead. You're chill. Fucking go for it.
that's okay. So you brought up Papers, Please. I immediately, by the same guy, Lucas Pope, thought of Return of the Obra Dinn. And that got me thinking, you're a psyker on the deck of a ship that has re-emerged from the warp with no crew. And you're getting visions of what happened. So it's like Return of the Obra Dinn with a greater focus on supernatural and horror events.
Yeah, I can see that being kind of fun.
So you're there seeing people's deaths and piecing together the story through that same method. But you've got, first of all, far larger scale. There's so many just incidental deaths. Like, so many are just, like, random fucking ratings getting crushed by the ammunition when they're loading shells.
It's I absolutely adore this. I love bureaucratic horror. I think it could definitely be kind of interesting, and I like the idea of that kind of supernatural stuff. Sorry, I'm just getting flashbacks to just an interesting topic. Did you guys know that the most prolific serial killer in the entirety of Warhammer 40k was literally just a low-level adept in charge of munitions and food rations?
Holy shit. Wow. Yeah, I
it was.
believe that.
In The Watcher in the
Goddamn.
Rain, spoiler for that like hour-long audio drama, it was literally a lady who, not even corrupted by chaos, was so pissed off at the Imperium that she, like, one day she accidentally misfiled food rations and actually sent ones that would expire by the time they got to a guard regiment, that led to the deaths of about 300 men and the executions of over 1,000 men for cannibalism. So she found
my
out
God.
that she was genuinely excited by this. She loved the idea of having that level of power over people. So the premise of the book, The Watcher in the Rain, is that they found that filing and they sent an inquisitor to show up to try and find out who was murdering all these, who was doing this, because this had to be an act of treachery and whatever. And he thought it was just like one filing, but it turns out she was misfiling intentionally 5 scrolls every day for the past, I think she said 10 years. 5 to 10 years, something like that.
Oh my God.
So through calculations, she's basically like, I'm responsible for the deaths of millions of people. And I'm like, that's such an interesting idea. The horror of bureaucracy is super interesting as a concept for 40k, because the story ends kind of interestingly enough with the Inquisitor dying after being duped by her and her being stuck on a ship with guardsmen who were part of the guardsmen that she misfiled rations for, and they're just like, yeah, she's not one of us, but she's fresh, so let's get her to the kitchen, don't let the boys see. We're gonna do the thing that we were talking about earlier. We're just gonna eat her. Yeah.
Oh God. Oh Lord.
Yeah. Watch in the Rain. Good. That was actually a good 40K horror story. It was weird and went weird places, but I didn't walk out of it mad. So that's a big one up on everything.
Okay.
pretty good.
Okay. Do we have any other concepts here? I feel like we're running dry.
I've run through my ideas.
I could keep talking about any horror concept. Like I just don't want to derail the podcast too much by talking about random horror bullshit.
No, that's fair. It's Halloween. We can have a little derailing. But I have one last quick presentation that I think people might enjoy.
There's another
PowerPoint
one.
presentation.
This is another PowerPoint.
This is another PowerPoint. Hold on, let me
Nani
get
to
this set
heck?
up.
Holy shit.
Yeah, here we go.
None to heck.
All right, can you all see that?
Oh, Dio, you're approaching me.
You can see this?
I think I do. Is that just a
I
smiley
think so.
face?
Sorry, yeah, it shows up when it shouldn't. All right, let's get this show on the road. So,
Is that your crosshair? Is that your crosshair for video
that's
games?
not my crosshair.
Is that your crosshair for
I don't-
video games?
I don't have
Zarek
a
POV.
smiley face crosshair. You'll see in a moment. So, let's begin the presentation. Scary Warhammer game!
Oh,
Okay.
Watch out! Gene Cena's scary!
Yeah.
That's my presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
That's the whole. You didn't even
That's the
continue the
end.
bit.
so you're telling me this is
Presentation.
so you're telling me this is just the game Alien Isolation, but it has a Gene Stealer instead.
You know what? That
Is it
could work.
That could work.
Listen,
fucking
guys,
God.
I didn't say that. I made my presentation pretty clear.
Yeah,
Gene Stealer's scary.
yeah.
Jesus, guy.
That's
You know,
all I have to
fucking-
say.
On the terms of fucking horror, because I said I'd say it earlier, I've seen Zarek have a fucking real life horror
Oh my
experience.
god!
Oh,
I
please
can't
tell.
hate this.
And this shit was funny. I was doing the last Warhammer World trip with us lot and us and the rest of the team. Me, Zarek, Red, and Moots were sharing an Airbnb, but me and Zarek got there first to move all our shit in. And she goes into her room. I go into my room. I put my stuff down. I hear Aaron, Aaron, fucking from like upstairs. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There was a spider no bigger than my thumbnail.
It,
Sat on the wall.
it was like a corn
Shut up.
spider. It had big fucking legs.
It was not a corn spider. It was in the middle of Nottingham. It was a house spider at best.
It looked like a corn spider. It had those long fucking legs.
We all know corn doesn't grow in fucking Scotland, all right? You're lying. You don't know what that fucking looks like.
Does we have a little bit?
But
Interesting. Okay.
you have bison, but you have no fucking corn.
We do have
But,
my village had bison. Yes.
Oh, this does kind of.
but yeah, she's there literally screaming, staying out of the room about this tiny fucking spider. I just scoop up with my fucking hand. And I think the voices were going to get me to throw it at her. But I chose not to. 'cause
No, I saw
I'm a
your
good
hands.
person.
Your hands straight towards me as you're cupping the spider. I shut my bedroom door in your face.
Really funny. Holy shit.
I wasn't gonna do it, but it would have been very funny.
Look, I would
Fucking
have
whoa,
I would have
spider
shat
upon
my
thee.
pants.
Interesting.
That shit was funny.
So, if I may propose a question, Aaron, if you think this bit's going to go on too long and you don't think this is a good one to end off on, I have an interesting question. Because it is the season of spookiness and horror. I gotta ask, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened to all of you?
Oh, that's a good fucking question. I don't have an answer yet. Someone else go.
You don't have an answer yet. Alex, show up.
So the scariest thing that ever happens to me, I cannot legally say. The second scariest.
Several undocumented pregnancy scares got you.
Me when the IRS shows up at the door, that's the biggest scare. No, the scariest thing that ever happened to me. So, yeah, okay, yeah, I think this is one of the spookiest things because I am big spook of animals. I like cats, I like dogs. If animal bigger than that, big spook, no like. So when I was in the Netherlands, when you go into high school, the very first year, you go together with like all these kids in your high school, and you go to a camp together, right? So at this age, you're like 13, 14 years old. I was 13 at the time. And we went into this. So what they did for this camp, right? Like, it was this big camp. They had this big, like, massive, like, wooden hut, I guess, but it was like essentially a big ass building, and it was built for schools and stuff. And boys had their boys' sleeping room, girls had their girls' sleeping room. So on the second night, we were meant to go outside at like 1 a.m. And they would do a big spooky tour throughout the forest, and you would have this guide with you. And of course, they were meant to spook you. Well, I remember super specifically, we were probably about an hour into the trail at this point. So about probably like 3-4 miles into it at this point, because we were walking pretty fast, because I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified. I don't like the dark. I don't like being in the forest in the dark, especially if I know people are waiting to spook me. And we had this essentially, like, so for every one of those groups, right, to make sure kids don't get lost in the forest and die, there was at least a young adult from like later on in the classes there. And I remember him, he was like 18. He was like a little spooked, but whatever. And then in the Netherlands, you have wild swines. And at this point in time, they were not aware that the wild swines that were usually in the patches behind the big old hill, they were right now on.
So I thought there's a very good your mum joke in there somewhere about wild swines. Honestly. But yes, carry on.
So we were walking on this trail, and I remember, like, we heard something. I was like, haha, there's a guy going to spook us. And then the guy turns to me and he goes, yeah, but he's not meant to be here yet. And I'm like, the fuck do you mean? And then we turn our flashlights back to the front. 4, maybe 5 swines, massive ass, like a solid 1.5 feet tall, 2 feet tall, staring at us, big old horns. And we ran for 10 minutes straight, and they chased for those entire 10 minutes. They chased us that was the scariest moment, because it was just his expression changing, going, yeah, but he's not meant to be here yet. And I'm like, the fuck do you mean?
Yeah, nah.
No, that was just scary. That was so scary. That is the worst experience one of the worst experiences I've ever had.
So I've got 2 answers for this, but one of mine is very similar to that.
Wild animal do spook.
It wasn't even a wild animal. It's more embarrassing than that. It's fucking funny. I was maybe 10 years old, max. My sister used to do horse riding. So we went to go to this fucking like farm stable place in a big field, kind of out of the way, where they had all these horses and they do lessons and stuff, and out of the kit, da-da-da-da-da. I was wee boy, spooked of horses, spooked of just any sort of general large animal, I guess. Similar to you in that sense, but I've grown out of it because I'm something you call an adult. But as a kid, they had these big fucking farm dogs, and these dogs were fucking big. We're talking like the size of a 10-year-old, if not bigger. Like, fuck me, they were just, in my head, they looked fucking huge. Maybe it was a bit of fucking trauma, who knows? But there was this big one called Izzy. I don't know what breed it was just fluff. But I didn't realize it was just fluff at the time. It was fucking big. And this dog fucking looks at me, and this dog just started running towards me, because apparently this dog liked to like jump on the owner's kid or something and tackle him to the ground, and that's how they play. And they saw me and went, I'm gonna fucking have him. They started bolting towards me. I start screaming, and I start running the other way. And I like vault over the big fucking like horse gate grid pattern ones. I just climb up one of those, fucking jump it, but not before this dog fucking jumps up and scratches the fuck out of the back of my calf, cutting it open a bit because they tried to jump on me. Not vicious, but they did it by accident. Mm-hmm. The jump was on purpose, the scratching not so much. And I hit the floor on the other side of the gate just crying as my nan comes out of the car and consoles me. That's like the biggest trauma point I've got.
Biggest
as a kid when it comes to spook. The actual biggest spook was on my 21st birthday. I said I wanted to do a 15,000-foot skydive. And so my parents booked me 15,000 feet, not 25, 15,000 feet skydive. So I go and do a 15,000 feet skydive. I get in the plane, I'm strapped to the guy on the back in the little tandem ones. Life's good. The plane starts moving. Life gets a bit worse. Because there's like 10 of us lined up, so 20 people in the plane. It's everyone with the instructor tied to them. I'm second out of this fucking plane. It goes up and up and up and up and up. Well, for what felt like 15 minutes of just straight ascension. And you don't realize how high you're going. Halfway through this thing, he says, "Oh yeah, we're 3 times the cloud layer." That's how high we're jumping from today. Yeah, That was my reaction. And so then the door fucking opens. This almighty gust of wind, because the plane's going like at speed, like it's still flying. And she's like, "Oh fuck, that's heavy." I see this guy attached to the person in front of me hop out, climb on the side of the plane on that side of it, and it's like gone, blink, whoosh, gone, and it's like, oh no. And then the guy starts moving. And at that point, you've got no choice, because you're not moving yourself. The person behind you knows how to move a person. So we go, strapped on the side, hanging outside of the plane. They tell me to lift my arms up and wave to the camera guy who's jumping with us. Arms go up, guy, let's go. And gone. Fucking free fall, 120 miles per hour for like 20 seconds.
Holy shit.
It felt great. It was awesome. It was like a zero gravity experience. It was insane. I can't describe how it felt. But just that initial doors open, person gets sucked out at a speed I can't really comprehend. It's fucking horrifying.
Shit.
Holy God.
That's amazing. Dude, you could not get me onto one of those things. I'm the biggest scaredy cat. I won't even ride a kid's roller coaster. I hate motion sickness. I'm so prone to it. Fucking, do you remember when I was stuffed in the back of your fucking car, loaded up with all that luggage? Right, Moots and I are stuck in the back of the car. You and Red with his big long legs, like in the front.
I have a video of that still.
Yeah, that's a great fucking video. But Moots and I are stuffed in the back. We've got luggage up all around us.
She piled up. I couldn't see out the back. I had to bring a camera round behind the passenger seat to even see Zarek at one point. She was just tucked away.
Then we started moving, and I realised, oh yeah, I have motion sickness. Right. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. I need you to make a window for me so I can see the front, or I'll throw up.
Oh, jeez.
So poor Moots got even more stuff piled on top of him. Because I needed to see the front, or I'd hurl. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you in like a G-Force simulator. That'd be fun.
No. You could not get me on one of those. Honestly, some of my biggest fears are being strapped onto a machine like that or something and being forced to move that quickly. That is one of my biggest fears. That and like a tarantula.
Tarantula.
Those are like on the same level for me, frankly.
I went on holiday recently, actually. My mum is a massive spider fucking, not fanatic, phobia.
Arachnophobe.
So, like, I'm used to doing that shit, which is why I just picked up the one in the room with you and fucking walked out. Because I normally I'm used to that tone of voice when it comes to someone yelling my name. I was like, right, it's a fucking spider. All right. But I knew what was going on. But she recently went to Longleat Safari Park and she got the chance to hold a tarantula. And we're like, go on, ma, go on, fucking do it. Come on, try it. It's chill. We wouldn't be offering it if it wasn't. She's like, I don't know. And we got her on it. And there's a picture of her holding it. And she's like, oh no, her name was Rosie. She was very nice. And she's just completely overcome that since, which was really wholesome.
Nah, it wouldn't work
So I
for
have
me.
to try and get you to do the same.
I'd kill it by accident. I'd freak the fuck out, chuck it on the floor and stamp on it, like as a reflex. Literally.
I don't think you have the guts to stamp on it.
No.
I think you'd throw it to the floor, go, and back up again.
No, you're right. I would do that. See, so I have two scariest moments of my life. One was I got very, very close to holding a very big spider.
Oh.
The other is a more existential horror that only really occurred to me as very scary now because it was one of the biggest threats to my life.
Interesting.
Was it the bison?
It's not the bison. The bison are fine, honestly. Very peaceful, very demure. They're fine. So I'll start with the first one, the spider. It was a single moment of panic. That is the highest fear I've ever had conscious. Big nightmares as a kid. But, so I was moving into student dorms. I was saying hi to one of my flatmates, and we're having a chat. I'm telling him, I actually have this awful fear of spiders, and I reach for my glass in the cupboard, and I check it because I think I see some dirt on it. The giant fucking spider fills the bottom of the glass. I scream, slam the glass on the counter, and hop back three times in a row without even thinking.
Oh
the
my
mountain goat,
goodness
yeah.
graciousness.
Yeah, mountain goat fucking movement. Right now, that is single greatest moment of horror. But for a more existential horror, when I was a kid, maybe 13 or so, I was over at my friend's because it was his birthday, and I think he'd been to one of my birthdays, because I used to live out in the countryside with my grandparents, and we had woods as part of the garden. It was nice, big bonfire, really cozy. But over at his, he had a similar house. Guys, I promise I'm not rich. I know I sound middle class. But no, this guy.
Don't look it. It's fine. Don't lie.
Wow, gee, thanks, Aaron.
Damn.
God damn, man. No, to be fair, I know what my jacket looks like, and I wear that jacket intentionally. No one mugs me because I look like I've got no money.
Very smart.
Very smart. So, I'm over at my friend's, and this guy is actually minted. Anyway, so we're over at his, and he does actually live more out in the countryside than I do. Nearby to a bunch of woods and things. And, of course, because we're a bunch of kids, we're like, yeah, let's play Manhunt. That'll be great fun. So,
Oh god.
we start running around and playing and stuff, and I'm quite slow. I'm not the fastest runner. I didn't figure out how to sprint until I was 16. I shit you not, I didn't figure out that I should push my legs down. That didn't occur to me.
Ah.
So,
What
so
wait,
I just
no,
thought that
no.
my body would. I just thought my body would
Wait,
go.
what the fuck do you
You know?
mean you didn't learn how to sprint? Wait, what does that even mean? That just means run but faster. What?
Yeah, no. So it didn't occur to me that when I was running, I should push down to get to the floor faster with my legs. It's when someone mentioned, yeah, no, when you're running fast, you're going to minimize the airtime, and it occurred to me I should probably push the legs down and not just push off the ground, you know?
I mean, from what you've shown me, from where you grew up and went to school, you didn't really have much space to do that when you're the playground. You got divided into year groups, so you barely had any room to walk, let alone run. From what you showed me,
my primary school playground, we had about 50 meters square to play in. It was like a fucking animal pen for 100 kids. It was ridiculous. Anyway, no. So, long story short, I was slow. So, for me playing Manhunt, the tactic was always find the best hiding place, because all the others were way faster than I was. So what I did was I went out past his driveway, a little bit into the woods, into the borders, and I pushed myself really far in, and I'm really good at hiding. I was wearing this green. I don't know how to describe it, but it was like a jumper, but not quite, not a cardigan, not quite. It was whatever, but it was green colored. So I placed myself in the nook between two trees and wrapped myself up in it. So I camouflaged in, and I'm hiding there in amongst the bushes and the trees, a wee ways away from the road that the driveway is just off of. And as I'm hiding there, just in front of me, I see a large shape move, quite bulky, about the size of a man, but crouched down at the same height that I am. And from what I can tell, they're looking towards the house. And they keep, stealthily sneaking by, and my breathing freezes. There is a long pause where I can't see it anymore. And I sit there, and I wait for a good 5 minutes. My friends have all been caught. They're calling for me because they can't find me. I wait until I see one in the driveway, and I bolt. I bolt across, and I'm like, dude, there's a fucking man in the bushes.
Oh my god.
That is that is my biggest horror moment.
Oh, fuck that.
I'm fucking glad that I'm good at hiding. Holy shit.
Okay. Interesting. Genuinely terrifying.
Now, I don't think the guy was actually a threat. Because in Scotland, we have something called the right to roam. So you actually are just allowed to go fucking hiking over people's large ass multi-acre gardens, and other borders and stuff. So I don't think I was in any serious threat. It was also a relatively affluent area where my friend lived, so probably wasn't in any danger, but
It's
it was
very
fucking
interesting because
chilling.
your scary story is kind of similar to mine.
Just some weirdo
Yeah.
bushman
Yeah.
roaming about. But then you were
the,
also some weirdo bush child. So I
the
guess.
Scottish
Yeah.
bushman.
It's similar. It's
The
just-
Scottish bushman. Yeah, you got the bushman of whatever the fuck, and was the catman of Greenwich or something?
Greenwich, yeah. Or
Greenwich,
or
yeah,
Greenwich
okay.
or something. I don't know how it's pronounced.
interesting.
If you pay him
Oh no,
£5 to
Greenock.
eat a
It's
rat in front of
Greenock.
you.
Catman of Greenock. That's
Greenock,
it.
that's it, yeah.
Sorry, Arthur. You should go ahead. Yeah, you proposed this.
Yeah, well,
Let's
I
hear.
proposed it because I was thinking about this a lot recently. I tend to. So I think it's also like a mixture of like an ADHD and an anxiety thing where I constantly overanalyze and like categorize my certain behaviors so I can understand myself a little bit better. So with horror being horror and Halloween being Halloween and this year being what it was, I kind of just sat down and I just kind of sat to myself. I was like, what is the scariest thing that's ever happened to me? And I've been through some medical issues. Like I've had like oh hey, your resting heart rate for some reason is 120 for 3 days straight. I don't know that's not good. And then I went to the
That ain't
hospital
good.
and they're just like it's just doing that. I'm like, what do you mean it's just doing that? It's like, yeah, here's your EKG. Yeah, it's just doing that. I'm like, is there? Yeah, we'll just get some blood. If there's a tear in your heart, we'll know. And I'm like, should I stay here? They're like, nah. I'm like, what? Yeah, the doctors on my island are kind of dog shit, but like whatever. But I like outside of like random medical issues, the scariest thing that ever happened to me. It's in the same vein as Eric's story, where it's just like I probably wasn't in any danger, but it was the play on the build up that happened to it. See, I am what the kids would call an idiot. Just so you know, I intentionally put myself into situations where I do as little. I do as little in the way of effort to mitigate myself getting absolutely fucking murdered as humanly possible. Like, I will just stroll random streets late at night alone with a backpack full of shiny shit on it. Like, I'll have $5 bills hanging out my back pocket in bad neighborhoods. I'll just do whatever to get a good story. Because, I mean, like, the thing that I used to say in university was nothing interesting ever happened to the person who said no to things, but this is all to give you a preamble that this is like I've gone through a lot of scary shit, but the scariest thing that's ever happened to me was weird. So I gotta ask, have any of you ever lived on an island before? Not like a continent, but I mean like a thing that's designated like an island. It is separated from the mainland. It has a limited infrastructure because it is an island. Have any of you ever lived on an island before?
Not lived, but visited.
So one of the things, I live on an island right now. I've lived on an island probably for, I would say, 95% of my life. First 5 or 6 years I was off in the mainland, but we moved over to this island, and it's far off the East Coast. And what they don't tell you is that the infrastructure of an island can be more easily impacted by inclement weather than any other place. So this year, I think this was like 2 or 3 years ago now, maybe more than that now that I think about it. This is probably about 5. But basically, we got hit with a hurricane. Now, this hurricane hit a lot of South America, but because we were just far east enough, we ended up getting hit with it. And power was out for, I think, about 2 weeks. It was pretty bad. And when I say power was out, I mean the entire island was just black. It was nothing. I couldn't work because at the time I was working at Wendy's, and I'm naturally very afraid of the dark just because it's a childhood fear. I never really grew out of it, but like I'm aware of my fears, but I can if I have to be in the dark to get shit done, I'll do it, right? Like I know that nothing's actually going to grab me, and I know that it's like whatever. But my parents, they had generators, and they were about a 45-minute walk away from my house. So, like, every day I'd go there, bring my laptop over, bike over, bring laptop, phone, tablet, as well as, like, my earbuds, just to kind of make sure everything was charged so that I would have something to do the next day. And I would leave at around, like, 6, 7 p.m. so that I could get home before it would get dark, because I was like, I know that I'll probably be fine, but, like, whatever. So, like, I was at my parents' house one day, and this was, like, towards the end, and midway while I was just hanging out with them, because I have a reasonably decent relationship with my parents, I just saw, like, lights turned on, and their entire street got power back, as well as like a lot of the greater part of the area that I'm in. And I was like, oh, cool. I decided to stay a bit later because I was like, oh, I guess the island got its power back. And I was just hanging out with my parents. I went down the road to go see a friend of mine. And then when I got back to get my stuff from my parents, I picked up my phone now that it was fully charged. I called up my roommate and I was like, hey, power back? He's like, nah, unfortunately it's not. And I'm like, okay, that's not too bad. It was pretty late. It was later than I was comfortable with, but I messaged him and I was like, or I was talking to him and he was like, oh yeah, power didn't come back. And because of that, I went to go to my parents' house because they got power back. They didn't have a generator, but they have power now. So he was just going to go get a warm shower and so on. And he left. My landlord left the second that, because there was a basement apartment, very deep into the ground. And the upstairs was where my landlord lived and the downstairs was where me and my roommate lived. And I remember basically being like, okay, I guess I'll just go walk home now. My parents were like, we could drive you. I'm like, no. I kind of want to see the environment and see what's open and shit. And I was like, yeah. So, mind you, it was about 10 p.m. It was dark. It was dark. And it was overcast as shit. It was probably not a full moon because, well, you'll find out. I decided to walk home. It was about a 45-minute walk, as I mentioned, and I'm making my way up the road. And I'm crossing through, like, highway lanes of traffic, and there was just this, like, what's that term? There's this term from termination point. That's the point. It's the term to describe the bright side of the moon going to the dark side of the moon. That line that divides it is the point of termination. And I found that where there was power, there was a single street light that was on, and then after that, it was complete pitch blackness, which means only the eastern side of the island had gotten power back. That means the entire western half of my island just did not have power. Unfortunately, I was on the western side of the island, and I still had like a good 30 minutes of walking left. And this is where I started to get a little on edge, because I don't know if most of you guys seem like you probably would have, but like overcast night, absolutely no light. Like, you are not even near a town. There is no light pollution. There is no ambient light. It is darker than dark. It is so dark that your eyes can't even make out shapes. Luckily, I knew where I was going, and I had my phone, so I had my phone, like, flashlight on, and I was just walking the street. The next thing that was, like, the scariest thing is, like, it was dead silent. Completely, absolutely bone-chillingly quiet. There were no cars going. There was nobody walking on the sidewalk, because who the fuck is walking or doing anything right now with the power out? And I was getting into my own head here. I was actually like freaking out, but I was like, whatever. But another piece of context, right next to the street, because there's I walk forward, and if I turn right, that's the street that goes up to my apartment, my home. But if I go forward a little bit further by like another 10, 20 feet, there's the parking lot, the start to a parking lot to the largest mall in our area, because I live next to like the biggest mall, and completely pitch black. Except for I could see 3 flashlights, 3 like shitty dollar store flashlights, 3 individuals just kind of wandering around the parking lot. And I was like, that's interesting. They were close enough that I could tell that they were probably together, but they were far enough apart that I was like, that's kind of weird. And I could see like the conical beams of light of like shitty off-white yellowish light. And they were just kind of like zooming around looking at shit. I didn't hear anything, but they were like good 200-300 feet away. Like it was a mall parking lot, and they were by the entrance of the mall, and I was not even in it. But I looked at them, and I think it was like the flashlight light that I had, because it was on my phone, and I just brought my phone up to see if I could get a better look, because it was a strong light. And I shined my light up to look at them, and then not in unison. It wasn't like out of a horror movie. It's just like one after another, all of the flashlights pointed to look directly at me. And I was like, I shouldn't be here. So I immediately turned off my flashlight light, because there was a little bit more light kind of coming through the clouds in the sky. I think there was a moon out. I couldn't tell, but there was enough that I could see. Or the adrenaline was causing my eyes to work in overdrive, and I was just seeing the afterimage of what my mind's eye saw this street as. So I made it up to my apartment. My heart was in my throat, and I locked the door behind me, completely pitch black. My landlord had even taken his fucking gigantic yapping dog. And I went down to the basement, and I went into my room, locked my door, and for those of you who've never lived in a basement apartments actually do have windows, but they're weird. They're little slits that are like maybe like a foot tall, but like maybe 3 feet wide, and they're imprinted on the top of that. I had one that led to the driveway, the side view of the driveway, that I had to walk into. My roommate, who was gone, had one that led to the front yard that pointed to the main street, and then our living room was blocked off because it led to the backyard, and we just covered it with a blanket. But I remember just being in my room for like 20, 30 minutes, and mind you, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like starting to calm down. I was starting to be like, kind of like, okay, this is kind of in whatever. And that's when, like, I shit you not, I saw a light shining in through the window by my bedroom, and I was freaking the fuck out because it wasn't like shining directly in. I just saw like the ambient like reflection of light coming in from something that was shining down the driveway. And I saw that because there was no light in my fucking room. So it casted this massive shadow of like the fence rack that was on the side of our building. So I immediately I crawled the fuck out of my room trying to stay low in case someone was looking in my window. And I closed the door behind me, and curiosity got the better of me as I went to my roommate's room because he wasn't here. Fuck him. And I went to my roommate's room, and I got to the window to look at like the street, and the clouds had like congealed again, so it was like completely pitch black. But the thing that I saw was like 3 people. I couldn't make out who they were. All I could see was like the hands gripping around the flashlights, and for some reason the beams of light were not intersecting with the individual people to show them, but they were evenly spaced apart. And the thing that was fucking with me is that they were shining their flashlights in every single window that they were passing by. They weren't stopping or anything. They were just doing that. And they didn't shine it on the one that I was on. And they just seemed to be looking at the one, the main window for the upstairs floor. And I was shitting myself because they walked past and then just kept going on their merry way. I locked every door in the fucking house, even the bathroom. I stayed in the living room with every candle I had lit, and I was just like, I was getting ready for shit. I was getting ready for something, but nothing ever happened.
Oh, God.
Christ.
Literally nothing happened. Nothing. You know what? It was probably nothing. They were probably just 3 dudes that were like, oh shit, it is getting late. Someone's coming by. We should probably leave. And they just live on a similar street to me, and they were just being dicks by shining their flashlights in each window. But the games I was playing in my own head, I was just like, fuck, I am going to die tonight. Like...
it's so over.
Genuinely the scariest. Like, I have never been more afraid in my life. You could say I was like genuinely afraid when I was going in for like heart issues or whatever, but like genuinely I've never felt like I don't know what's going to happen and I'm genuinely afraid of what might. Kind of like I've never felt like genuine terror like that before. But yeah, that's the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
That was horrifying.
Wow. This is...
Yeah.
Spooky.
Proper spook.
I live my life to the not even the fullest, to the fucking least. I don't want it. Like I joke about it now. I sort of fuck if like I walked out into like if I went downstairs at night one night and I was like, oh, okay, time to go get some water, and I look out the window and there are 3 flashlights walking down my street, I'm going to the woods. I'm letting the forest claim me. I don't want to deal with this reality anymore.
Oh, dude, actually, I've got one last scary story. It's from my girlfriend's perspective, but I was present, and I need to tell this. Mm-hmm. I absolutely have to. So, one night, you were having quite a nice night in. We were watching some like MS Paint, some of his stuff. It was pretty cool. We go to bed, and I'm a heavy sleeper. You could not wake me for the fucking world. I'm very good at fighting off people who try to wake me. Once when I was a kid, my mum threw a wet cloth on my face trying to wake me up. Without looking, my hand grabbed it, and I flung it across the room back at her and hit her in the back of the head. I'm really good at sleeping heavy. So late that night, my partner, she hears some noise in the other room, She's concerned. She's shaking me. She's like, come on. She's like, come on, wake up. And I'm not waking up. I just roll over. And this is a real concern because our downstairs neighbor had a break-in shortly after we moved in. Like their front window got smashed in.
Fuck that.
Yeah, they're an odd one. But she heard noises in the living room, like the next room over, and she couldn't wake me. So she gets up, grabs her phone, and starts moving forwards towards the living room. And she's heading closer to the door, opens it up, and she's in the hall, kind of pinning herself against the wall next to the living room. And she hears talking, like a deep voice talking, and she's about to do something when she hears someone in a deep voice say the words, Modge Podge. She realizes it was the MS Paints video we'd been watching earlier that evening. It was my laptop and started up again and started playing it.
No.
That's
So MS Paints, I love you, man. You scared the shit out of my cup.
unfortunately horrifying. Holy shit.
She thought it was
Jesus
completely
Christ.
over, and then she opens that, and it's just...
It's Modge Podge. Fucking Modge Podge.
That's the same shit as having like fucking Markiplier jump scare you later. It's even fucking hello everyone. You fucking
Hello, everybody. My name is
Same
Markiplier.
same shit.
Yeah.
Honestly, same tier shit. That's funny.
I think we had a good time sharing horror stories and scary stories.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That was so good.
But yes, funny, spooky game episode. Yes, thank you, everyone. Yes, thank you, Alex, and thank you. What's your fucking name again? Arthur Bones. Yes, for coming down today.
Twice, Aaron. Twice in one
You got it
episode.
wrong.
Absolutely.
No. It was Alex. I forgot.
Yeah,
That was on purpose.
he's had all three of them now. He's bullied all three of us now.
Yeah, you forgot. My name's actually
has.
Cameron. You should call me that. No, okay. You know it's only funny if Tom's
His name
here.
is not...
that one went past me,
because
man.
he
I don't know.
accidentally called me Cameron once, and I'd never ever let it go.
Shut up. Shut up.
I didn't know that.
Shut up.
Wasn't even,
I don't want to
I
hear
wasn't
it.
even upset. I just wanted to be a dick. It's it's really funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we're just coming to a close now, unless anyone's got any final statements.
Oh,
Snap the
Snap
bean.
the
Anymore.
beans.
And
Snap
as I
the
said,
bees.
there it is. There it is, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Please check out our social media, join Discord, Patreon, whichever tickles your fancy.
Subscribe!
That one.
Jesus.
Yeah, that one as well.
Christ.
Oh, catch you next time.
See y'all later.
Bye.
Why, hello there. I see you've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this far. You must really enjoy our content. If you want to see more, check out our social medias and even the Discord. And if you feel so inclined, try out the Patreon. Yes. But if not, we look forward to seeing you next time. So, first Patreon question we got today is by Monsieur Organ. And they're asking, what do you think is the 40k character that went from being poorly written to well written and vice versa?
Oh.
40k character that went from poorly written to being very well written.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
I'll be honest, I'm gonna make a hot take. I'm pretty sure like 9 times out of 10, if they're shit, they usually stay shit. If they're good, they usually stay good. Like John Grammaticus was kind of shit when he was introduced, and then he just got worse. I don't know, honestly. Like, you can make the joke about, like, Lionel Johnson, because I like 40k Lionel Johnson more than I like 30k Lionel Johnson, but, like, you know.
Yeah, I have a pretty controversial one, and I know some people are going to be really upset by me saying this, but hear me out. I think that Marnius Calgar, since the beginning of his existence, into more recent years, he is aggressively getting worse. He is, every single time he is now brought up since the Primaris days, he is the greatest of the goddess, of the bestest of the greatest. They are essentially what they took away from Sicarius, they gave to him.
Alex, you don't understand.
Please.
It's Marnius Calgar. He's so cool.
Please.
It's him.
He's so cool.
Please, he already lost to a Hive Tyrant once. He cannot solo a Lord of Change. I don't care. I don't care how cool it looks. He's just getting stronger. Someone stop him.
It all went downhill after the Marvel comic, I tell you.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, since that change,
Oh,
he's
that.
actively getting worse. And I love Marnius Calgar. He was one of my very first metal characters I ever bought. He's just getting worse. His lore is getting more insane every single time. Look, it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of sad seeing a character that used to be his most insane thing is that he did hold off an orc army for 3 days by himself on the bridge. That's really cool of him. He is not soloing a Lord of Change. He's getting turned into fucking pastry.
Yeah, or a Chaos Storm.
Yeah, he's
Or
getting
both.
sneezed on and he gets turned into just an old sock or something. I don't know.
Big sentient croissant.
Yeah, big sentient croissant.
I can see that. No, it's funny you say Marnius, because I was going to say Gilliman has gotten worse post-Awakening.
Actually, here's something. I think Belisarius Call
Oh,
got
yeah.
better.
Oh, yeah.
Started off with like no lore, just unreasonably good at everything, and then they wrote in all of the reasons why this makes sense after the fact.
Okay. Actually, no, fuck Gilliman. We're going to go with Alfarius. I think he was better than he got worse. Because the whole Alpha Legion lore got inflated by the fucking... Who are we? We don't know.
Yeah, no, that tracks.
Ooh. and they started off cool and then just gotten like repetitive.
Agreed.
Do we ask? Do we dare?
What?
Arthur?
What's up? No, I get it. No, I get it.
What was your character?
No, I
Did you
get
say
it.
already?
I
Am I
think that
bugging
like
out?
most characters usually just kind of stay the same. There's good. It literally
They
just
just stay
stays like it literally just like stays the same depending on the author. I think is the more important way to put it because like Graham McNeil is the Uriel Ventress that Graham McNeil writes, the same one that shows up in the Guy Haley book when he's in the Dark Imperium. I don't know. It's just different writing styles. I think that it's shit depending on who it is, or it's good depending on who it is. So I'm easily upset about most things if you haven't pieced that one together yet.
Yeah, no, the Dreadnought episode did show that actually. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zack Lantern asked today, what are you carving on your pumpkin today? I think that maybe that's the one
I don't have a pumpkin.
we should answer. Fix that problem. Get a
Big dog,
pumpkin.
I don't want to get a pumpkin. I'll fucking eat a pumpkin. I'll eat every pumpkin I see just to spite you. Suck my nuts.
Dude, there's a really easy joke I can make here, and I feel like I'd be like genuinely just deplorable if I went that low as to make the
You're
easy
just gonna
joke.
say your
I
mom,
can't.
like.
I can't.
You will be deported immediately to Land's End.
Okay, like hot take. I've never actually carved a pumpkin before. Like my parents never really did that. Yeah, and I just
Oh, it smells
I just
awful.
never
Yeah, it does.
interested in
Terrible.
it too. So it's just like
It
it's
does
never
smell
been
bad.
something that I've been concerned about. It's like if I think I did try it when I was older, and I was just like, well, this is shitty. Like, I just never had fun with it. So like, if ever if someone held a gun to my head and I carved a pumpkin, I do the smashed in thing where like you just kick a fucking hole in the front of it and then put tiny eyes around it. Yeah. 'Cause I'm fucking lazy. I don't know. I just don't got time to carve pumpkins, so I just do the laziest one possible.
Just for that person asking the question, I will go up to the top of a hill and I'll roll the pumpkin down the hill into the city streets and cause mayhem as they split apart on cars.
I will.
Eco-terrorism, I see.
Well,
It is.
I will. Every time I've carved a pumpkin, I always carve something chaotic in it. One time I carved a pumpkin and then we weren't allowed to put it outside because it had profane imagery on it. But as I usually do on the back, but no. But this year I think I'm going for, because last year I did a corn symbol. This year I'm just doing the Nurgle symbol by punching the pumpkin 3 times really hard.
Bang, boom,
Nurgle symbol, yeah.
Respectfully, I get it. I appreciate it, honestly.
That would be.
I've done.
So I was gonna say that would be way better if you left all the flesh in and
Yeah,
then just
yeah,
put
yeah.
a candle in, so
Yeah,
you got all the stringy
you just
shit.
launch
That's incredible.
You just launch a candle in, and it's just like, there we go. It's perfect.
No, that's pretty sweet. I've done the brand of sacrifice last year. That was the only one I did. Was the big old berserk symbol.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that one looked pretty snazzy, to be fair, because you leave the middle bits in.
Yeah.
If you can manage to, it like lights up really nice. It gets a cool shading effect.
Mm.
And it looks very snazzy. And then, hypothetically, what would you carve into a pumpkin, Arthur? If you had to.
Just vote the logo
No,
because it's short.
fuck you. The rhyme of the ancient mariner from beginning to end in as small a font as necessary to fit the whole thing. I want them to see the pumpkin and think.
The only thing they're gonna be thinking, Arthur, is being like, who has the time?
You asked me the
Who took the
you
time to
asked
do
me
all
the
this?
question. I gave the answer. Okay.
I respect it.
This guy's handwriting is shit.
Just crack scribbles on the side of a pumpkin that just like there was a bird. It was white. Just going through it, right?
Yeah. After the first line, yeah, fuck this. You just smash it against the wall, yeah.
Somebody's gonna find a piece of pumpkin somewhere that has like 5 words on it. It's like, who, how, what?
The first 6 chapters of Berserk go on in miniature form. I'll just get someone to carve it for me because I'm lazy.
Professional pumpkin carver. I'm sure those exist. You can probably commission those.
Oh, for sure. Seasonal work, though. But, I think that's us quite about finished for this episode.
Hell yeah.
Anyone got any strong closing lines?
I'm spooked. I'm gonna get myself a hot chocolate and sit on my couch and be scared for the rest of tonight.
I'm going to sleep. I'm tired.
South Africa's the scary place, I've heard.
Hell yeah.
The silence. The fucking silence.
Alright, I think we can stop our recordings there.
Okay.
Call it off. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.